You're listening to Art Affairs, episode 32. Today I'll be talking to Dulk. So my name's Michael Faith, and this is Art Affairs. Art Affairs is my attempt at shining a spotlight on the many wonderful people that make up this amazing art community, featuring conversations with artists, gallerists, curators, telling their stories. You can dig through previous episodes, complete with show notes at artaffairs.podcast.com, but the best way to stay plugged in is to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can also connect with the show on Instagram and Facebook at Art Affairs Podcast. All right, so today's guest is artist Dulk. Dulk is a multidisciplinary artist from Spain with a background in both illustration and graffiti. He creates work with a strong focus on animals and the natural world, and we talk about the effect that in-person field research has had on the nature of his work, how he fell in love with graffiti and street art during his first year of college, his new solo show in New York with Spoke Art and ThinkSpace, and a whole lot more. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Dulk. Antonio, welcome to the show, man. I'm stoked to have you on.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right, so let's dive into your background for a bit. And I know you currently live, near Valencia, Spain. And you were born and grew up in that general area. Were you actually born in the city of Valencia, or was it outside in sort of a small town?
I was born in the city of Valencia, but I'm from since I was a child. I lived in a small town, which is like 40 minutes to Valencia, to the big city. And I grew up here. And was at the age of 18 when I moved due to the studies and to the university. But yeah, I grew up here, I came back here just in March. Yeah, because I'm a father.
Oh, congratulations! I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Since this summer, and in the beginning we thought that because we were living in Valencia, we were like 8 years, more or less. Yeah, almost 10, I think. Living in Valencia, but we just moved here because, with a little kid, it's easier for us. And we got a very nice house, which in Valencia is more expensive. And both me and my wife are from this town. So it was more comfortable for me because I'm always traveling, not now due to the pandemic, but I'm always traveling, moving around all my day. Normally, I pass all the day in the studio, so it was easier to be close to the grandfather and grandmothers. Yeah,
for sure. No, that's awesome. That's a big life change to have a brand new kid.
And we are pretty close to Valencia. In 30-40 minutes driving, you are there.
Okay.
So I go almost all the weeks. Yeah. Especially now because I'm working on some projects there.
As a kid, from what I understand, you had a lot of animals around you, like birds and fish and horses. Tell me about that. Were those like your pets, or was it something that your parents did as their like profession?
Well, my father had a lot of birds. We lived in a country house, and he really likes the animals. So yeah, since I was a child, I was looking at his books and his encyclopedias, and he had like 400 birds at
oh, wow.
a small room at the home. So it was like I grew up with this, and I'm sure that it's the main influence for my work.
Sure.
And since the beginning, I remember copying the animals of his books, and he was always watching documentaries, nature documentaries and wildlife documentaries, and I was with him And yeah, that's my main influence. Yeah.
That's amazing. What kind of work did your father do? Was it animal related or?
He has a no. He has a company, a packaging company. Not, it's totally different from me. Yeah, but he likes it.
So how did you first get interested in creating art then? If you don't have any like artists around you, like how did you first get that creative spark?
Yeah, I'm the only one in my family. Also, later my brother, which is he's photographer. But yeah, I'm like the only one drawing. And I remember it was with my father. He was like, I remember in the sofa with him, like, okay, let's draw a lion, and it was, I think, 4 or 5 years old. But when we are young, I think all the childs used to draw, but yeah, not all used to do it when you grow up, no?
Become an adult for
when
sure.
When you become older, yeah. So yeah, that was the beginning, I think, and I've been drawing since then. But was at the age when I got 18 and I went to the university. I always thought that was, especially because I think I grew up with this ambient, because my father has this company and my grandfather had another company of transports. And when you grow up in a family when people has like not big companies, but like they go to the company, they come back, and the day is like all the days are like that.
Yeah.
And I'm very like, I like to have everything under control, and I'm very organized, and I'm very maniatic of yeah.
Oh, I'm exactly the same way for sure. So did you have? I mean, I know when you first started college, you were going to go into economics. So was that because you were going to go into like the family business at first? Was that the original plan?
Yeah. And because I never thought that I could live from the arts. Yeah. And my idea was I really like the marketing and advertisement and things like that, like the most creative part of a job, no? So I decided to do economics, and thinking in the future to be with my father and follow the company, no, continue with it. But I remember I was drawing in all the classes, all my books of mathematics and economics were drawn, and I was drawing characters all the time. And then I met with a guy from Madrid, because he moved to my small city, which is 50,000 inhabitants more or less. So he came, and he was a graffiti writer, and I was a skater, and he was a skater too. I had my crew of friends. Normally we're skating all the days. So he came with us, and he saw my drawings, and he said me, "Hey, yeah, you have to paint in the walls. Would you like to try it?" And I was like, "Wow!" I remember I only saw the graffiti in the TV or in some magazines or so. He was from Madrid, so the next weekend he went to Madrid and he brought some cans, because here was very difficult to find like a good graffiti can. And then everything started. When I did my first one, it was like, wow, this is incredible. And then it was really nice, because it was a coincidence, because I was thinking in leaving the economics career and start fine arts or illustration or graphic design or something related in what I like. Well, I was drawing in the books, but also drawing in the walls was like, wow. And then I decided to change everything. And the next year I left the career and started illustration, because I was thinking about fine art, but fine art, it's always like more open. You work with sculpture, with video, with animation, with everything. And I only wanted to draw. So I started the illustration career, and then I moved to a small city which is close to mine. And I knew a lot of people from the arts that was like totally new for me, because I remember in my class here in my city, I was like the weird, drawing all the time. Everyone was playing football and basketball, and I was skating and drawing, and in a small town from Spain. Believe me, this is like,
that's amazing.
This guy is weird. So when I went to the other place, I met with people who liked the same of me, and I was like I felt very happy, and then everything started to move. I put all my energy in the lessons, in the drawing classes, all my energy, especially because I lost the other year with the economics career, and my father doesn't. He always helped me, but he was the first one that thought that was very difficult to live from the arts, and I still think it, but he now is understanding that it was a good change, no? After all this time.
So were they supportive of that change in pace back when, year one of your college, when you decided to change directions and go into arts? Was that something they were discouraging you of, or were they encouraging you to do that?
In the beginning was like, they were like, oh, I don't know if this is the good way, but yeah, now they are very, very happy and very proud of it. Yeah.
When you first got into graffiti, what kind of stuff were you painting? Was it letter forms and stuff like that, or were you already painting characters like you do today?
The first one was lettering, because it was like the graffiti most iconic theme, no? But I was mixing some letters, then characters, always animals characters, some b-boy animals, yeah, and then. In the beginning I painted some 3D characters, 3D letters, sorry. But after that, I started to do characters. And then in the city where I moved to study illustration, I met some guys who already were painting like very professional in the graffiti scene. They were like famous. There was a very important crew here in Spain, Porn Stars, which was like the most important writers from Spain were from that crew, and one of those guys who I met was from that crew, and he saw my drawings and he said me, "Hey, let's do a new crew with me and with another guy," and it was very special for me, and I was like, "Wow, these guys are counting with me to create something," and I was very motivated.
Nice.
And this thing with the graffiti, and while the illustration part while I was studying, both things at the same time was like a bomb on me.
Yeah.
Like a really special. I think it's one of the most special times I lived.
For sure, yeah, and I from what I understand, that period was also when you adopted the name Dulk, right? Which from what I've read was more or less an homage to a friend of yours. Tell me about that. How did that name come about, and how did you end up adopting it?
Yeah, it was because my friend, the one who came to my town and the one who introduced me to the graffiti scene, that guy always was, okay, you should have a graffiti tag, and I said, no, it's okay, I prefer my name. And he was, no, you need a graffiti name because then it's cool and blah blah blah. And I said, okay, I don't know which name I can use. And he said me, oh, I started with one guy from Madrid who signed as Dulk, and then he was died in an accident, and he said me, would you like to adopt it? And I said, okay, it's okay for me. It was a nice thing, and he now is very, very happy about introducing me in the world, and also about the name, and and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a kind of a heavy weight to carry. The fact that you adopted the name of somebody who
Yeah, I know. I didn't thought anything in that moment. I said, okay, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you've definitely done it justice, and you've certainly made a good name for it. Did you ever get any kind of trouble painting graffiti? Did you ever get arrested or?
Yeah, one time I was arrested. Yeah,
oh, okay.
But it was just for one day. Yeah, and it was, I think, the only because I really like the trains and the illegal thing and everything. It's totally cool, but it's not for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more like since the beginning. Since the beginning, when I'm painting, I like to paint and I like to be comfortable and I like to be in the adrenaline is in another, maybe skating or snowboarding, but not painting. And the only one I was arrested was, I think, the first time that I was doing something illegal. Yeah, and I never did it again. Yeah.
Okay, well that's cool. And so you went heavy into illustration. You changed from economics to illustration, and then you later studied graphic design. Was that all part of the same program, or did you complete your illustration work first?
No, it was in a different arts school. Illustration was in Alcoy, which is a little city close from here, from where I live now. And then when I finished it, I thought the same. I thought, okay, I think it's not necessary with this. I need to find a good work like animation or graphic designer or something. I really wanted to know more about the computer programs and lettering, and I think graphic design was the thing that I needed in that moment. And then I moved to Valencia to make like 3 years it was 3 years of graphic design, and it was cool too, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same because the nice part of my illustration career was that the city was not so big, and we were like a family, and we were like all the people. Well, I'm from a small city, so I like to know all the people moving around. And when you go to a big city, it's cool too. I really like it, but it's different. And after having all these great times in Alcoy, moved to Valencia, new people, was like something weird in the moment, but it was okay. And it helped me a lot, especially for working in the compositions and for another kind of project that I had, because I'm painting right now. I'm only painting, but I've been working like graphic designer and animator and many other kind of things. So it was nice. And then for my Erasmus, which is like 1 year that you can choose here in Europe and move to another university, they help you, and it's a European program. And I went to Belgium, for 1 year.
Okay, cool. So like what kind of work did you do right out of university? You mentioned that you did animation work and advertising. Was that all like freelance commercial work, or were you actually working for different companies?
When I finished the graphic design, I went to Barcelona, and I was 2 years living there and working for Zara,
No.
Pull and Bear and brands like that. It's a very famous Spanish brand, which is all over the world right now. And I was working there like a graphic designer and designing all the illustrations for clothing, especially t-shirts and sweaters, and And I was working with a fashion designer. And while I was doing some freelance project, I did many of advertisement campaigns as a freelance. And then after 2 years, I decided to leave the fashion's world, because it was crazy. It was crazy. I learned a lot about how to organize my time and work very, very, very fast. but it's not like a really luxury brand. So they used to work like copying like the big luxury brands and doing then like more affordable clothing. So maybe it was Monday and they told me, okay, in Wednesday we need 20 designs. Let's go. It was like, wow, okay. And then they wanted something like this brand. I don't know, maybe Gucci or Louis Vuitton or whatever. Something like this, but different. And then you start to be creative and doing like different things. And they say, no. Has to be more similar. And it's not creative and it's not helpful. I needed the money and I did it for 2 years. And as an artist, I wanted to live in Barcelona for some time because Barcelona is a really nice city where many artists grow, and it's a beautiful place to be. So yeah, I moved there and I was very excited in the beginning, but after 2 years, I said, okay, I need to do my things. I need to, because when you like to draw and create, and it's a nice job for someone who wants to draw or wants to do something, but if you need something more, it's like, okay, look for another thing. So, I remember, but was good be there because being in Barcelona, I knew a guy from a film director, and he offered me to be the main illustrator in an animation movie.
Oh, nice.
So it happened because I was there, and that's a good reason. So and then I left that work and I started to work and was a freelance project. I could be at my place working on it, and was very easy. Then I came back to my town, to my city in Valencia, because it was well paid but not so much. So I said, okay, I need to save money. Then I came back to my parents' house in the small city, which was crazy, especially being out of home for some years and then come back and in the same house of them. But was the thing I had to do to save money and then move again in the future. So was nice. And then since then I was doing some advertisement projects too. And I was starting to paint. Well, I always have been painting, but was starting to participate in some exhibitions around Europe with my first gallery works. Because in all that time, I was painting graffiti too and murals.
How did you make time for both? How were you able to make time for their commercial work and your personal work?
In the weekends, I was doing graffiti and murals in the weekends with some friends I met in Barcelona while I was living there, and in Valencia while I was living in Valencia too. So during all that period, I was doing both things. So the first time that I thought that something nice was moving was after Barcelona. Then I participated in my first mural festival in Bologna, I think was in Italy. And since then I'm working as freelance and by my way. Well, I was 2 months in an animation movie, but it was 3 years ago. It was nice too, but I left it in 3 months. I left it again.
Well, in around like 2009, from what I've read in your CV, that's when you really started showing your work in the gallery setting, right? You had some group shows in Spain and in Italy. How did you first start making those connections with galleries and building some of those relationships?
I don't know. I think it was because I in that moment I was very active in the social media. We had Fotolog. You know Fotolog?
No, I haven't heard of that.
The first one I had was Fotolog, and then MySpace, and then after that came Facebook. But I was very, very, very active, and I think it helped a lot to be known around Europe, and especially also because I was living in Brussels, in Belgium, for 1 year. And Belgium is in the middle of Europe. So being there, you can move with a train. You can go in 3 hours. You can be in Paris. In 3 hours, you can be in Dortmund, in Germany, in Amsterdam. It's very close from a lot of big cities. So I was moving all the time painting and knowing in person the people who I knew from Fotolog years before.
What prompted your move to Belgium? Was that when you were doing your Erasmus, the year that you were doing, your university?
Yeah. It was for my Erasmus.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was a really cool experience because it was almost the same that when I started illustration, but in a European version, when I went to a school, I met people from all Europe, all drawers and very, very good drawers. And I remember in the classes, everyone had her own style, and the teacher wanted that you grow up with your style, not with something like the things I did here in Spain, that you have to draw this. There was like, okay, let's go to Griot, but each one from his side.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah. It was really nice.
Did you know the language at all?
No, because they speak Flemish. My university, in Brussels, it's a very, there are people who speaks French and people who speaks Dutch, which is like the Flemish language, and it's very difficult. It's a mix of German, English, and very weird words. It's very weird. But the teacher was speaking with me in English. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And actually, a couple years later, in 2013, you and your brother Carlos won an award for a short story book that you guys, created, an illustration, illustrated short story based on your time there. Tell me about that. Like, how did that project come about?
That was very beautiful. That was my teacher from the university in Brussels. He was the one organizing this contest. He and his organization. He has an literary organization there. And after, I think it was 2 years after being already here in Spain, after my time there, he contacted me and he said me, we are organizing this. It's going to be really cool, and I would like to have you here. And I said, okay, let's see. And they did like some proofs, like you had to draw, you have to do some different things, and they selected 10 artists and 10 writers. You had to be like a couple. You choose your writer and then you create a story. And we were selected, which was awesome. It was very, very important for me being recognized in a city like that, because there, the culture in comics and illustration, it's very, very strong.
Nice.
And I felt very happy. And then we went there, me and my brother. He's not a writer, but he writes really, 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 really good. So I remember it was a very nice thing, because we were there 2 weeks in Brussels. They paid us all the costs and then a small fee to be there just for inspiration. Just they got us a really nice apartment in the city center. And we had to be there 2 weeks only for inspiration and draw in the streets, and we had some meetings too. But only for inspiration. And then you had to come back to Spain, to your place, and then create the story.
Oh, nice.
Based on the neighborhood. They selected a neighborhood in Brussels, and all the couples were working in the same neighborhood, and was really cool. Yeah, because it's a city that I have always in my heart, because I had a really nice experience there. And then coming back after 2 years for doing something like professional in terms of, and I think it was my first publication.
Did you like the process of making a book? Like, do you think you'd ever want to do another illustrated story like that?
Yeah, I liked it. It was a very short story. It was only 15 pages or something like that for each one. But still having your physical book there and with my drawing, something published in a country where the illustration is very important, made me very happy.
Very cool. So as you were, branching out into your gallery career, you were showing in Italy, you were showing in Spain. How did you make the transition over to the U.S. and start showing in some of the U.S. galleries? How did that happen?
I did my first solo show, I did some others before, but not like a really nice and thought solo show. My first one was in Rome, in Italy, with Varsi Gallery. And after that, I remember I put a lot of energy on it because it was like the time I felt I had to do something like that. And I felt very happy about how the collection was. And after that, many galleries contact me to do something, and I felt very happy. And one of those was Andrew from ThinkSpace.
Nice.
And I was very excited because I was following its gallery for a long time. And since then I've been exhibiting with other galleries in the US, but he's the one that really made me grow, and there in the US and also in the world, because he also is trying to organize things.
Very cool.
In another fairs or festivals or whatever. And my first show with him was in London, in Europe. He went to a fair here in Europe, and we did it. Yeah, it was really cool. And yeah, since then we have been working together, and I'm very happy.
Nice, very cool. Yeah, you've had several solo shows with him at this point. So let's dive deeper into your work a bit. And while doing research to you, I kept coming across mentions of your love for Hieronymus Bosch and how much of an influence he was on you. Was it your time in Belgium where you first discovered and fell in love with his work, or had you already really loved him?
It was before. It was in when I was studying illustration. I was pretty young, and there was a project I don't remember which class was, but there was a project that we had to like interpret a work from Hieronymus Bosch. And then I discovered him because I never saw anything about him. And when I saw the work of this crazy artist, this master, I was like, wow. Because I remember I always have been mixing characters, creating like imaginary characters, and doing like surrealistic compositions since the beginning, since I was a little kid. So when I saw that someone like very, very important was doing this and in this way, I was like, wow, something opened my mind. And I enjoyed a lot that project. And that was like, okay, someone lived and is in the books doing these crazy things. And I said, okay, there's a way.
Yeah, it sounded like it helped you, I guess, realize that what you were already interested in doing was legitimate. Almost like, hey, I really like all this surrealist stuff. Hieronymus Bosch was very successful doing surrealism. I can do it too.
Yeah.
Is that sort of the message?
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
Nice. And so, obviously another core kind of feature of your work is animals, and all of your work really kind of revolves around animals and your love of nature. And you mentioned earlier that definitely dates back to your time as a kid. Are you still able to spend much time in nature and around animals? Like, is that something you're able to still do?
Sure. Since 3 years ago, more or less 3-4 years ago, I tried to save maybe 15 days to travel, to organize a travel. I take it like a part of my work. Organize a travel to go to a place where the nature is very strong. I don't know. I've been 2 times in Africa. I've been in the jungle in Costa Rica and in some other places. And I think it's very, very necessary to be, for me right now, I didn't think it before about it, but now I feel it's very important, because then I take a lot of photographs. I'm not a very, very good photographer, but I like photography, and I try to do my own photographs to use them for inspiration later. But especially the most important for me is being in the place, feel the place, like get up in the morning at 5 when still it's dark and go outside and it's very cold, and then go to look for the black rhino. And that's magical. That's magical because later when you are like very comfortable in your studio with your canvas painting and you remember all these things, you put a lot of more energy in the work. And
sure,
it's something that I really need to do it. And this year I wanted to go to the north, to Norway, to see there is a place called Svalbard where you can see the polar bears and
oh wow,
yeah, and the whales and the narwhals and a lot of Arctic wildlife. But finally I couldn't go due to the pandemic. But was my objective for this year. But maybe next one, or
nice,
in 20 years when everything will come back. Yeah.
When you're going on these exhibitions, are you typically looking for a specific species to photograph, or are you just wanting to go to a location and whatever animals are there, that's what you see?
Normally, I go to see the animals that I like or I choose. Then, well, there are a lot of different animals living in the same place, and then I love all the animals. But for example, the last trip I did to Kenya was to Olpejeta, which is a rhinoceros sanctuary. And I wanted to see the black rhinos in the wild. And it's one of my favorite animals. And there are like 180, something like that. And I went especially there to find them. And I found them the last day, after 3 days looking for them, because there are a lot of white rhinos, which is another species, and it's easier to find them. But the other one, the black one, is much more difficult. And I found them the last day, in the last moment, while the sun was going down, and it was magical. It was magical.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was a really cool. Yeah. I took very nice pictures, and then I painted a very nice work that I have. I don't have paintings of my work. Normally, I used to sell. It's really cool, but that one I kept it for me, and it's in my home. It was for an exhibition I had last year in Miami, but finally I didn't send it. Yeah, because it's the only thing I have of that moment. So
that's amazing. As important and as much as you care about animals, is environmentalism a part of the messaging that you build into your work? And do you consider yourself an activist?
I don't consider myself an activist. I think, I've been painting animals all my time. And now the situation of nature is very critical. So I just paint and try to do like a portrait that how they could feel or how they are. But I don't want to launch the message and say, okay, we are killing the planet. No, it's not that way. It's just, okay, I'm living here what I think, and it's the problem that is happening, and it's happening each day. But I like to create like a magical atmosphere, like something nice between these crazy moments. And then if you see the painting in the first view, you see that normally the people say me, wow, that's beautiful, these colors, this everything. And then when they stop and start to look inside of it, they see that something bad is happening. And it's like what is happening nowadays. So we don't want to see the problems, but the problems are there, and each day are even worse. And yeah, many of animals are dying, and for us it's okay. Each day is passing, and it's very difficult I think now it's almost impossible to save this planet, but yeah.
I know that most of the animals that you use as your characters aren't exactly as they are in the real world. They're often morphed, and you have sort of these evolved animals. Are these mutations a product of them being in the context of a dreamlike setting, or are they adaptations due to the changing environment, stuff like that?
I think it's a mix of both. Yeah, it's a mix of both. They are like growing and changing their morphology, but each time I think, if I look for my works like 5-6 years ago, they were like more cartoonish and more comic and more funny, and was creepy too, but was more funny. Now it's much more realistic, and I think it's because traveling to these places and discovering them and trying to see how they live in the real, and my work is changing for a like much more realistic, but it has still the sense of the magical atmosphere and this evolution and mutations, and yeah.
Very cool. And I mean, definitely storytelling and narrative seems to be a big part of what you're doing. And I think that probably ties back to your illustration background. When it comes to creating a narrative, do you tend to create the story first, or is it the characters first and then you sort of build the story around it?
Normally I choose the main character or the main characters, and then I compose all the scene. Yeah. Normally I have like some animals that I really like more than others, and I select them and then start to create everything. And each time more, I think also because of these travels, all the characters that appears in a painting or in a sculpture are from the same place and endemic from the same place. Years ago, I mixed different characters, from maybe a lion with a parrot, and I don't know, from America, Africa, mixing. Now I try to be like more like represent the real ecosystems from this place, but with my view.
Does that approach change? Like the story that you're telling, does it change when you're creating a larger body of work, like a show, versus a single piece? Like do you try to connect many of the pieces together if it's for a larger body of work?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's different when I do a simple painting. Normally just think on it and create whatever you want. But when you are composing a big body of work for a solo show or whatever, you need to organize, I think, a lot in the colors, to have all of them together and everything is in the same atmosphere and in the same. For example, I'm just finishing my next solo show, and each one is thought with a color, and then when you see all together, everything flows together.
Nice.
Yeah.
And most of the work that you make is in acrylic. You pretty much exclusively use acrylic for your studio work. What is it that you like about acrylic versus like oil?
I think one time I tried the oils. Many artists said me, okay, you should start with the oils because your work will look much more better, much more colorful. Let's try it. And I said, okay. I will try maybe in the future. I don't know. But I feel the acrylics are for me because I normally paint like very, very fast. Like I like when I'm painting, I'm doing the character and okay, let's do the other one. And then I don't know. I start and I finish. When I start a character, I like to finish it. And acrylics, I think it's perfect for this kind of working process. And I tried many different brands, but now I'm painting with Liquitex. They sponsor me, and I'm super happy of how they work on my work. The colors are awesome. Also, the treatment that I do is perfect for me, I think. Yeah.
Very cool. And so, we talked a little bit earlier about, the trips that you take to, to take photography or to take photos for reference, and some of the research that you do, and also the storytelling. Once you have an idea for like the foundation of a piece, what's your next step in your process? Do you start sketching like compositions, or do you kind of jump right into painting? Like, what do you go from the concept to starting to paint?
Normally, I do the sketch by pencil. Then I draw it in the canvas, and then I paint like flat colors of everything, and then I start with the background. First, I paint always the background, and each time I'm enjoying more with the backgrounds, with landscapes, skies. Yeah, because years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, I never painted the backgrounds. I was like worried, like afraid of doing it, and now I'm enjoying a lot with the background. Sometimes more than with the characters. And then when I have finished the background, I start with the characters, and maybe I come back to add some colors in the background. It depends.
How much do you have figured out in your pencil sketches? So you said you start with pencil sketches. Do you have everything laid out in your pencil sketches, or do you still leave a lot to figure out while you're painting?
Normally, I have everything, but always I add little details or little characters. I work with the pencil and sometimes with the computer. When I get the sketch, I have a look of all the photographs I have, and maybe I mix the sketch with some photographs, and then I start the painting. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very fast sketch, not super well finished. I do that for the murals. For the murals, I draw like very finished drawings.
Okay, and for your mural pieces, once you finish the sketch, how do you transfer it up to the wall? Do you use projection? Do you use some kind of a symbol grid, or how do you get it transferred up to the wall?
Now I use a symbol grid. Yeah, years ago I did freehand, and I think it was much more wild than now. But normally if you are doing a mural, normally you have between 5 and 7 days, depending on the project. I know I can do it freehand, but I need maybe 1 full day, normally 1 full day or 1 day and a half. And if I use the symbol grid, I have it 2-3 hours. When you have I had some experiences with the weather, with a leaf, yes. And when you are painting a mural, you have to be like, I'm super organized. So I need to do it fast. I have some friends that, no, you have to do it freehand, because if not, and it's okay, it's okay, I can do it, but I need to work with enough time and be sure that I have the time.
For sure. I mean, when you're traveling for one of these mural projects, do you get a chance to experience the community that you're going to be painting in? Like, do you have a chance to get to know the people and the community that you're working in? Normally I have
around 1 or 2 days, and if it's a place, for example, I did a project in Costa Rica last year, and not last year, 2 years ago, and I was painting the mural for 1 week, and I spent another week just to explore the place and to know the community and the wildlife there and everything. If it's a place that I really like, I always take one more week. This past year in April, I had to go to New Zealand for a mural there, but it was the pandemic, and I couldn't. But I wanted to stay there for a month. The mural was planned because it was quite big. Was planned for 2 weeks, and then 2 more weeks for exploring the Iceland. It's a place where you never know when you can go, so it's a good opportunity to enjoy the place where you are working.
That's really cool. I mean, do you try to make the pieces significant to that community, like the animals that you're using? Do you build that into the design when you're painting somewhere else?
Yeah, I really like to do it. Yeah, because then finally the murals are for the people who lives there, because I paint and I come back to my city and that's it. But the mural is gonna live there. So for me, it's very important to create something that it's gonna live with them, and in terms of the things that they know, the wildlife, in my case, the wildlife that is living there, then play with it and create something unique, something under my language, but something for the community that I'm working. And that's something I always do it.
That's very cool. As far as materials go, do you use spray paint or do you still use brush and paint?
I use both. Most years ago, I only used spray can, but now I think because I'm painting much more than years ago, I prefer the brush, because also for the textures and to get different effects and also because it's more healthy, because you are in front of a big wall and with a spray can is like, wow. So yeah, it's time more. I think the last mural I did in Madrid, this was in July last year, I used all brush. Yeah. Acrylic and brush. Yeah.
Between your street art and like your mural pieces and your studio art, do you prefer one versus the other? Like on any given day, what would you rather be doing?
Both. I think both are necessary. Each time more, I really enjoyed in the studio. Now I have a very nice studio here in my town, and I enjoy a lot. But especially this year, it's been crazy because I really need to travel and paint a mural and being in. And I was lucky because I got to paint one in Madrid, which normally I don't used to work in Spain. All my projects are Germany or France or the US, and I got a really nice project, a mural project there in Madrid, and I went because we were in the middle of this pandemic, and I got many projects canceled for this year, and this was like, okay, I can do it here, and I went there, and was really like take some air for me, painting the street, and but I really need to travel and
to have both. What why do you not usually paint in Spain? Is it just you don't have people offering it, or do you just want to explore outside of Spain because Spain's your home?
No. I painted many times, but it's not like my main public. But also we don't have so much festivals here. Normally France or Germany or the north, like Sweden, or have a lot of more opportunity than Spain. It's difficult here. It's crazy because there are a lot of great, fantastic artists here living in Spain, but most of us are working out of Spain. Here, it's difficult to sell here.
Interesting. Is it there's just not as much of a market there?
No, I don't have a market here. I think I never, years ago, but since 5-6 years, I only sold one painting here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a big one, but just one.
Okay. So let's talk about your new show. You talked about you mentioned earlier that you just finished up your next show, and your next show is actually it'll be February 20th in New York City at Spoke Art in partnership with ThinkSpace. Who as we talked about before, you've done several shows with. What can you tell me about this new show? It's called Ephemeral Treasures. Yeah,
I've been working on it since March, so a lot of time on it, and right now it's done. And between this week and the next one, we are going to pack everything and prepare everything to be sent. And I'm very happy. It's not a very big body of work, but it has like 13-14 pieces, I think. But I'm happy. I'm happy of how it came, and especially this year that I've been. In the beginning, I was very nervous because I had a lot of projects traveling, but finally I enjoyed a lot the time in the studio for creating it, and I did a mix of the places where I've been traveling, and taking inspiration. And there are some paintings inspired in my trip to Kenya with the rhinos, and there are some others from Asia. There is a very, very nice one that I really like, inspired by the problem in the Arctic. And it's a mix of different ecosystems, and it's some normal. I normally try to choose different places where have very critical problems and species that are in very danger of extinction. And it's a mix of it, but much more realistic and much more influenced, I think, by my experience in the place.
Are these all paintings, or do you have sculptures, drawings, other types of works as well?
I have. There are all paintings, but there is a handmade sculpture, a very nice one. Yeah, I think it's the first time I do a handmade sculpture in a show.
Very cool. What type of material is it? Clay or?
It's sculpey, super sculpey. Okay. Yeah. It's like 70 centimeters long. Yeah, 70 high, something like that. Yeah.
I know you've done several sculptures over the years with clay and stuff like that for previous shows. You said this was the first one that you've completely made by hand. What were the other ones before that? Were those not completely by hand?
No, I made one that was a 3D print. Then I did some toys in the past too, and I working on a new one too. Well, I did 2 handmade sculptures together with a sculpture, because I don't know it everything by myself. I really like to do it, but it's impossible because of the time.
Sure.
For these kind of things, I always prefer to work with someone who really knows how has to be built, because it will be better for sure. And it's under my view all the time. And then we create it together, and then it's painted by hand by me. All.
Okay, very cool. So with COVID and everything that's going on with the pandemic, will you be able to make it out to the show at all, or are you going to be just attending virtually like everybody else?
I'm very sad, because it was a really nice thing for this year. I was super excited of going to New York, because it's like the main city for me. I met, even from being from the same town, me and my wife, we met there for the same time, for the first time. And because she was living close, and I went there for paint a mural, and we were together there.
Wow. That's amazing.
And yeah. And I was we were very happy to travel there, especially with the little kid that we had this year, and was like something super nice. But yeah, it's impossible to go now. It's like, even the situation here in Spain, it's like very bad again. And we will ship the artworks, and let's enjoy from here.
Right on, that makes sense. So just a month after that show, you're actually participating in Las Fallas Festival 2021, which runs March 15th through the 19th.
Yeah, we are it's in March, but it's going to be delayed for sure.
Oh, okay.
They are talking about July or October or September, because it's impossible to celebrate it right now, because it's a festival where all the people, a lot of thousands of people, it's in the streets. There is not only one falla, which is there are like 370 fallas around the city, which is crazy, because the cars can't go to the street, and it's the city is like amazing to be here for one time. For the people living there, it's crazy, because you can't move around, but it's very interesting. And it's impossible to celebrate it now. So it's going to be the light for sure. We don't know still when. I'm waiting for it, but we are working on it like if it was for March. So it's being produced like in the same direction, and it's super amazing to see how it grows. Each week now they are starting to paint it. And it's wow. I try to go one time per week, to see the process, to see the colors, because there are like 20 people working on the creation of it.
Oh,
yeah, it's
wow.
a 20 meters high sculpture. It's crazy.
Oh man, that's incredible. And so, from what I've read about the festival, basically you create a large piece that's ultimately burned down, right?
Yeah. It's
So, I guess tell me about that. Like, how does it feel to spend so much time on working on something that's ultimately going to be destroyed?
I don't know it yet because it's my first time. No,
Okay.
but in my opinion, it's very similar to it's faster, but it's very similar to a mural production because you paint the mural and it's ephemeral.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe it takes 10 years, 15 years, 1 year. You never know. This thing is much more crazy because it's built in 1 year and it's burned in minutes. So, and it's only between it's 7 days in the street and then it's burned. But when it's in the street, it's wow, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that must be an honor. I mean, sure, it's burned, but just to be a representative of your country in that way in this big festival, that must be a big honor.
Yeah, it's an honor because there are, as I said there are 370 fallas, but the one I designed is like the main one, the one which is in the city hall and like the one which represents the city. And for me, being from Valencia, it's beautiful. I grew up with it. And I remember when I was a child looking in the TV how they burn it, and my mother, go to the bed. You have to go to the class tomorrow early. Go to the bed because it's at 1 p.m. and when they burn it, and it's something really cool. I'm super excited about seeing how the process is going, about seeing the creation of each one of the characters because there are a lot of characters. But yeah, I try to don't think in the pandemic, but yeah, it's being close already. But yeah, we will see. It's gonna be for sure. It's gonna be in the place, the time that has to be. So
okay. So in addition to the work that you created for Las Fallas, what I understand is you're also going to be doing a show that's part of that same event. Tell me about that. What type of work are you creating for that show?
Yeah, right now I'm in the middle of a big, crazy, stress moment because I'm working on. I'm just finishing the New York show, then the Falla, and then another big exhibition in a museum in Valencia, in the Centro del Carmen, which is in the city center, and it's a really amazing space, like Gothic architecture mixed with modern spaces, and it's really, really beautiful and special. And yeah, one of the main places for the art in Valencia. So yeah, they offered me to do something because I'm the artist of the Falla. The other artists from the other years, like Okuda, Steve, or Pichiabo, they did it too. And it's something that like it's very nice because it's like the mix of the culture. They try to put the artist in his field, like you are doing the Falla, but then it's nice to have the art of the artist in the city while the Falla is in the main place. So it's really cool. So yeah, they offered me and I was like, wow, I have a show which is in February and it's crazy because the museum has to be in March, and I'm normally when I do a show I need like 10 months, and I said, wow, I'm gonna be dead. And also with the Falla that I have to control all the process. I don't build it, but I have to be, since we are started creating the characters with a 3D designer, with everyone who is working there. So it's crazy. It's being crazy, but I had to do it because it's the year and I have to do it, and it's my moment, and also being a father, and okay, let's see, crossing fingers then. Yeah, but I did it, and we are for the museum, as I had the show of New York, which is all of paintings and sculpture. I didn't have the time to create more paintings. So I thought with Fran, a friend of me, which is in my team, he said me, let's do something different. It's a museum. It's in your city. We can look farther and prepare something like more artistic, or like I don't know, like an installation or something different. I said, okay, let's think about it. And I look inside of the place because I really like to create always something related where the place is where it's gonna be the place of the art. So there is a natural park here in Valencia, which is named La Albufera. It's a wetland, and it's very, very threatened since like long time ago, and it's amazing the amount of birds that are living there, and it's a pity how the Valencian people doesn't know really what is happening there. There are a lot of people from Europe, like from Germany and the Netherlands, who travel here to see the birds, because there are 100 of species, and it's amazing. And now it's full because it's like they travel to Africa and they stop here in Valencia and then move Africa. And then when they come back to the north of Europe, they stop again in the Albufera, the birds. And now it's the moment where it's full. So I wanted to work on this place as the theme of the show, to bring the problem to the city, because the Falla talks about the problem of the environment worldwide, but in the museum I wanted to do something about Valencia, and I think I'm super excited with it, because I've been growing with this wetland. Everyone knows this wetland, but no one, or only the specialists know what kind of species are there, and the beautiful place that it is. So I decided to do a very big installation in the museum with the Albufera problem, and we are going to create murals around all the space. I'm finishing the sketches. And in the beginning, I wanted to draw only landscapes and some characters, but now it's being crazy, and I put a lot of imagination there, and it's gonna be really cool. And I have a whole team of sculptors working on some pieces, some sculptures that's gonna be in the space. So I really want to do something immersive. There is another guy who is working in the sound. And we are going to put sound and illumination and
oh wow, that's so cool.
The light effects, and it's going to be something really, really cool. And it's nice because I never did something like that, and I'm going to do it in my city. And it's the place where I can do it, because I'm building, for example, a 6 meters high sculpture. If you have to ship it to wherever, it's crazy. But everything is being built here in Valencia, which is nice too. And it's a project for Valencia and for the Valencian people, for all the people worldwide. But it talks about the problem that we have here. And it's cool. It's cool.
That's incredible.
I'm happy. Let's see how it works in the next month. But yeah, we have 1 month of work there. Our idea is to start on February, and we will be 1 month painting the murals and installing everything.
Wow. I mean, it's really cool, because it's not only in your hometown, but it's about a problem that you've known about since you were growing up with the wetlands, and it's a place that you really hold dear in your hometown for your people. It sounds perfect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have an entire solo show that you just finished, the Los Fallas, like that's got to be super stressful.
Yeah. Especially for me, that I'm like always like I need the time, and I'm very nervous, and I think I need to be organized, to be very, very well organized to work well. But yeah, I think I'm on time. I'm on time because I just finished the show. If this pandemic wasn't this year, it would be impossible. But that's one good thing that I had this year. It's crazy, but due to the pandemic, I had to cancel many travels. And then I accepted this exhibition in the museum because when everything started, when the pandemic started, I didn't know that the fire will be done by myself. So they selected my work on July. And I said, okay, it's going to be crazy because I knew that the museum will call me. And so, yeah, I was like, okay. But due to the cancellation of all the projects, I got new projects and projects at home, which could be possible to do, that was good for me because I'm busy. I'm in my city and I don't need to travel right now. And I'm working as never, but in my city, which is good. And I said before, normally I don't get projects from Spain. And this year with this, it's cool,
Well, and it's also it's an opportunity that you can't turn down. Like you have to accept this because it's such a special thing for you,
Sure.
It's not something like if you had passed that up saying, "Hey, I'm too busy," you would have regretted that for like the rest of your life,
Yeah. My wife was the one who said me, "You have to do it," and I said, "But we have the kid. I have an entire solo show. I have the fire and." And she said me, "You have to do it. Don't think about it. Let's work. And yeah, she's the one who helps me more to get the things that I'm getting. Yeah, she's always taking care of everything. I only have to paint. She also works with me with the mailings and everything.
Okay.
And she's the one who does that this works. Yeah, sometimes it's difficult because we are almost all the day together in the studio and at home, but we try to organize it, and it's going well. Yeah, now with the kid it's much more difficult.
Has that always been the case? Has she always been taking care of the business side, or is that sort of a new thing?
She's doing it since 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah, when I needed more help. Yeah, she and she's a chemist doctor. She's really, really good. But here in Spain, it's very difficult to find a nice job of this. And she's enjoying a lot. And yeah, we travel together when I travel.
Nice.
And she really likes it. And she's in the same. She knows all my friends from the arts, and it's good. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for the work that you're creating for that installation, for the murals and the sculptures and all of that, what's going to happen to that once the Las Fallas Festival is over? Will it stay in the museum as a permanent installation, or what happens to it?
The idea is to have it in the museum for the show is going to be for 4. We are talking still about it, but it's going to be between 4 and 6 months exhibition. And then our idea is to move it to another museum.
Okay.
We would like to bring the problem to different cities. We don't know what we will do later when we don't have more opportunities to show it and we have to think about it because one sculpture is very, very big. For the murals, it doesn't matter because it's covered and that's it. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very special exhibition. And the director of the museum said me that they are going to try to keep it for a long time because it's going to be everything built for the show. I'm not going to bring like paintings and hang them on the walls. Everything will be ephemeral and will be built for the show. And yeah, we are writing like a short tale for adults about the problem in the wetland, which is like the thing that is inspiring the whole composition and all the artworks. And it's written by a very famous writer here in Valencia. So it's cool because we are a whole team of different specialists building something. All the people is from Valencia, building something to help the natural park, which is really cool.
That's amazing. I love that. It's such a great idea. So, as we wrap up, where can people find you online?
Yeah, www.dulk.es. Yeah, and Instagram is Dulk1.
Okay. And last question, and this is something that I like to ask everybody. Who is one artist that you'd like to see me have on the show?
Oh, I didn't know it. Maybe I have an Mantraria. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Awesome. Yeah, you'll have to give me a link to his Instagram. I'll link him on the show.
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Antonio, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah. Thank you for counting on me.
So that's it for this episode of Art Affairs. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Antonio. I love the way he described where his work fits in relation to environmentalism and how he's not as much interested in, depicting the damage that we humans have done, but instead wants to create this magical animal-rich world to celebrate and appreciate, the majesty, wonder, and beauty of the natural world. And it was cool to hear how his style changed once he started going on these photography exhibitions and how becoming closer to nature and, visiting the animals in their natural environment resulted in him depicting them less cartoony and more realistic. And it also led him to focusing more on the types of animals that he includes in pieces and how they relate to one another so that the animals are with other species that they'd, naturally encounter in their actual habitats. That's really cool. I'm impressed by how much he actually has going on in the next couple months. I can't imagine how he's managing to, keep up with it all alongside being a new father. That's pretty crazy. And a couple of weeks after this show is set to air, his next big solo show will debut in New York. Hosted by Spoke Art in partnership with ThinkSpace, Ephemeral Treasures opens February 20th. The show sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome, with all new painted works, as well as a completely handmade sculpture piece. And then just a month later, in mid-March, is when Las Fallas Festival in Valencia is supposed to take place, as well as the big museum exhibition. That humongous sculpture for Las Fallas is going to be pretty epic, and the super immersive installation at the museum sounds truly amazing, with bird sounds and three-dimensional pieces along with several murals. It must be such an honor after having grown up seeing and participating in Las Fallas as a kid to now be featured in such prominence with his own art on display and talking about a cause that's near to his heart and important to the people of Valencia. It's pretty amazing. Now, the timing of Las Fallas is still sort of up in the air. It was originally scheduled for, mid-March, but with the pandemic and everything, like Antonio said, it's probably going to be delayed, almost certainly. They're still aiming to have everything ready by mid-March, so his contributions to the show and to the festival will all be set, but the date itself is still somewhat up in the air, so, definitely follow his Instagram to stay up to speed with the latest developments. So thanks again to Dulk for joining me today, and thank you for checking out the show. I'm truly grateful for your support. One big way you could help out if you're enjoying the show would be to review it on Apple Podcasts, and of course just, sharing it with your friends. As always, you can contact me through my website at artaffairespodcast.com or on Instagram at artaffairespodcast. So until next time, be good to yourself and be good to each other.